Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another Lightroom editing tutorial. So in today's video, I'm going to be going through the tips and tricks that I wish I had known when I started out editing on Lightroom. What is happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another Lightroom tutorial. So as I said in today's video, we are going to be going through my tips and tricks and the things that I wish I'd known when I started editing on Lightroom. So just to put it into a bit of context, I have been editing on Lightroom for about 3 years now. So I think it's safe to say that I know a few things about Lightroom, and as you have seen already, I have quite a few tutorials on how to edit on Lightroom. So I do know pretty much all the tips and tricks, all of the tools in Lightroom. So today I'm just going to be sharing my top tips that I wish I had known from the start. I kind of just figured it out as I went along, but if I can help you guys from the start, that would be amazing. In saying that, let's just jump straight onto Lightroom. So jumping straight into Lightroom, I'm going to get started and show you the tips that I wish I had known when I started editing on Lightroom. So I'm going to be using this picture as an example. It's a very neutral, natural, nice portrait in the mountainside. So let's get started with this. So when it comes to editing photos, I think most people, myself included, started editing only the basic settings, and this is what many of the phone editors offer people as well. They don't really go into the details of all these other tools, so you can really refine the image and get great results. If we have to start with this and just do some basic corrections, bring down the highlights, bring up the shadows, bring down the whites, blacks, all that kind of stuff, maybe contrast up a little bit, clarity up a little bit, not looking too bad. It looks like a cool photo so far. But we can take this to the next level by using the tone curve. So what I usually like to do is bring a little S curve into the picture, and already we can see how much of a difference that makes. What I like to do as well is just add a little bit of fade into the shadows. So I bring this tail end up a bit, and we can see how it starts to fade in the shadows. The higher we bring it, the more fade we bring into the picture, until you can eventually start like crushing the blacks, where it goes like all weird and goes into the opposite direction, which we don't really want to do. So try and always keep it below the points on the right. So I'm going to bring it to around that level for now. That looks good. But just to push it to an even further level and how to bring out really nice tones in your pictures is going to the individual RGB channels. So what this does, as I just mentioned, is it edits the individual color spectrums that makes up the colors of the entire picture. So when we are editing the red tone curve, what we are doing is essentially only editing the red pixels of the picture. As you may or may not know, the color space of this image is RGB. So that means that for each pixel, there's a red, green, and blue light making up the colors of those pictures. So by editing the individual channels, we are editing those individual lights, which make up the overall color of the picture. So we can go ahead and mess around with this and add in different colors to create tones in the pictures. So say for example, I wanted a little bit of a brown into the shadows. I can just lift up the red just slightly, and we can see how it starts to influence on the shadows over here. I think that looks good for now, so you can move on to the other ones. When you're editing these tone curves, you want to be very subtle with it and not mess around with it too much, because they can be very dramatic. As you see, if you had to edit it like a normal tone curve, the normal RGB channel, it has quite dramatic results, as we can see. So again, just be very, very subtle with it. I do think I want to add a little bit of green in the shadows as well, just because we have that nice adventure-y feel. So I'm going with the green and brown in the shadows, and then I'm going to add some blue into the highlights as well. So just play around with this until you find the right tone that you want to go for. I'm going to lift the blues just a little bit, and that looks good to me. So if we flicker on the tone curve, we can see how much of a difference it can actually make. And then you can just emphasize these colors once again in the color spectrums. Or the second tip for the day is camera calibration. Now, I only found this out about like a year after using Lightroom, and basically what this is for is to correct the colors that your camera has kind of got wrong when taking the photos. But we can use this to our advantage and manipulate the colors to achieve a certain look. A lot of the time on Instagram and on YouTube, we see the color scheme of teal and orange, and a lot of people ask and a lot of people wonder, how do you achieve that look? And this is kind of where it comes to life. So if you see, I just drag the blue primary hue over here all the way to the left into the teal, we can see how it starts to affect the image quite dramatically. I'm not going to take it all the way, but I am going to leave it at about halfway for now, just for this example. And then we can also bring the red hues into the right hand side, and then we can also bring the greens over to the right as well. But this is all up to you and what color scheme you are trying to go for in your photos. You can mess around with this and you see if you want to go for more of a blue and yellow look, you can drag it all the way to the left, or to the right is more of like a reddish orange compared to the normal orange. And again, you can do this for each of the different things. If you really want to have purple and green as your split, then you can do that as well. So it's really up to you, so you can mess around with this and have some fun. I certainly did when I discovered it for the first time, so go ahead and play around with it until you're comfortable. The next tip is one that I have for colors, and you can do this by going into the HSL tab. I think first though, I'm just going to bring down the saturation of the whole picture. It's kind of annoying me how saturated it is right now, so I'm going to bring it down to around -22. That looks good to me. So my tips for the HSL: if you want to change the hue, so for example, her skin tone is looking a bit too red for me. So instead of changing the hue of each individual color, we can click on this little dot icon over here and go over to the picture and go to her skin tone and just click and drag, and you'll see that all the colors that affect the skin tone start to move when you drag it up and down. So that just saves you a whole bunch of time, and you can kind of adjust it accurately and in real time, other than doing them one at a time. So I'm going to bring it up to there. That looks good for me. You can also do this for other colors as well. Say you want to go to the background and make it a bit more of a teal color, you can drag it down, and you can see the sliders on the right start to move as you slide up and down on the picture. We do see that it's starting to affect her hair as well, so you don't want to go too much and make it look unnatural. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, and that looks good to me. So that's just my tip on that. And then my last tip for the day is the various filters that you have on the top here. Again, I only discovered this a while into my Lightroom editing process, and it has really been a game changer. So you can use this to take your photos to the next level. So I'm going to start off with a graduated filter, and this is kind of just like a line that you can draw across your pictures, that what it does is applies certain settings that you have on the right here to one side of the filter. So just as an example, as an extreme, I'm going to bring the exposure all the way down, so we can see that on this side of the filter the exposure is all the way down, on this side it is at the top. And then we can see there is this feather section over here, and basically what that is how much it fades into the rest of the picture. So if we bring the feather right down, there's not much of a fade, and it kind of just stops right there. For this example though, I'm going to bring the feather up quite a bit and drag this all the way down there, so that we just have a little bit of an exposed section at the bottom, just to place emphasis on her face and her as the main subject. You can also bring some more in from the side if you want to. That is obviously a bit dark. I don't want to have it that dark, so get that to the levels that you want to. And again, you can do the same thing from the other side. And if we flick this on and off, we can see how it kind of just once again places emphasis on her face. Now I know you're saying that you could just use the vignetting tool. You could, but that would obviously affect the sky as well. So this is just a lot more controlled than using vignetting, I think. So I'm going to hit done on there. The next one is the radial filter. So as an example, I'm going to use her eyes. So just zoom into her eyes. This photo is actually a bit blurred. I didn't even realize that until now. Anyway, we're already too far into the tutorial. If you click on the radial filter and just drag that over her eyes and bring up the exposure just a little bit. You don't want to make it too much, otherwise you'll look like a demon or a ghost or something, so just be careful about that. Drag it over the other eye and just do exactly the same thing. Click done and zoom out, and we can see how her eyes really start to pop. Now we can see that that is a bit extreme, so if you want to adjust it once again, you can just go back into there, click on the various points and bring that down, and that should look a bit better from there. There we go. So her eyes just really start to pop out, so we can see the before and after, how much of a difference it makes. Next tip, and that is exactly what I use right now, is a lot of you have been asking how I show the before and after of these photos so quickly. So the key to do that is the / key, and for me that's right above my enter key on the keyboard. I'm not sure about everybody else, but that is where it is located. If you want to look at some other before and after views as well, you can hit the Y key on your keyboard, and that should place them side by side. If you want an alternative view as well, you can choose the other options over here, but I usually just keep it on this view, or like I said, I'll hit Y again and just use the / key to see the before and after and see how far I've come. What you can also do is hit F on your keyboard, and that will make it full screen to see the beauty of your creations. And if you hit F again, it'll take you back into the normal window mode. And then my last tip of the day is just a really small one, but I think it is really helpful when it comes to editing and deciding how you want to edit highlights in your pictures. So by default, Lightroom sets it to a medium gray background. Now this looks all good, but say for example, you have your highlights and your whites pretty high up at the top of the picture. And it doesn't look too bad, but when it comes to editing on a white background, we can see that it kind of just blends into the background straight away. Now the problem that I have with this is that we consume most of our media through social media and websites, and the majority of social media platforms and websites have a white background. So that is where the problem comes in. So I like to edit on a white background, and then I usually just drop the top end of the tone curve over here so that it fades the highlights just a little bit, so that it creates the edge and you can see where the end of the picture is. That is my tip for editing on a white background and the reason that I do it. So you don't have to, but that is just my choice. Unfortunately, those are all the tips that I have for today. If you want to know any other tips or you want me to go into further detail about any of these tools, please leave it down in the comments below. So there we go. Those are my top tips on what you should know when getting started on Lightroom. I wish I'd known these things from the start, but I'm so glad that I got to share those tips and tricks with you guys now so that you don't have to struggle through it and find it on your own eventually. Thank you as always for watching this video. I really do appreciate your support, and this channel is growing tremendously. So welcome to everyone that's new around here. If you are new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button right below there, as we are growing this community every single day, bringing you new Lightroom and editing tutorials every single week. So stick around for that, for a new video next week as well. If you are interested as well, I do have my own Lightroom preset packs that you can check out. The link will be in the description for those, so go check it out. Also go check out my Instagram feeds to go see examples of that. The links for that will be right here, that one there. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Got a really big announcement coming soon and some epic adventures on the horizon, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe for all of the adventures as well as the tutorials coming up on this channel very soon. In saying that, I am going to end today's video here. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the support. In the meantime, stay weird, don't die, and make it happen. I'll see you guys in the next one.